I'm not surprised that Berlin is competing at this level,
Yeah.
but I'm surprised on how consistent are they being in their superiority. I think that Nantes as a club is, it should be a role model for other clubs.
In 2 weeks they can have won the triple, and then it's like ups and downs.
Ball across to Dylan Nahi, double in flight. Oh, what a start!
Ooh, into the net.
She does it again. Yes.
And Magdeburg are the champions of Europe. To come up with something here. She has a game. Across the keeper. What a comeback!
Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time to talk handball again, and we are in the Final Four mood already. We are just recording here live from Budapest, from the EHF Final Four on the women's side, but finally, one man on my left-hand side, he actually finally made it to both Final Fours, the EHF Final Four 2025 on the women's side and the Truckscout24 EHF Final Four 2025 on the men's side. Martin, exciting times, right?
It's super excited, you know. As you said, it's actually my first time going to Cologne for the men's Final Four, so that I'm looking a lot forward to, because for other reasons I wasn't able to make it the previous year. So yeah, we're in for a treat coming up with Cologne, and it's gonna be interesting. So, as you said, super excited.
Finally. And when he scores, he makes the Barca sing. Victor on the wing, Victor, Victor on the wing. Every time you're on the ball, we know it's gonna be a goal. A superstar from handball. It's actually it's actually a Jota song, but it's a football one. I adapted it for you.
I love you too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's adaptable.
How's it going? How's it going?
All good, all good. Yeah, excited to, as you said, we are right now in Budapest, but also thinking about Cologne, and Cologne is super special for me, for everything I have lived there, good and bad memories. Well, I wouldn't say bad memories. I lived bad moments, which has taught me a lot with the time. So yeah, I'm looking forward again for what Cologne has for us, you know, because Cologne has always have some surprises for handball fans.
We have a full episode to get your mood back up again, so I'm just gonna ask, what was the most painful one, the most painful memory that you bring together with Cologne?
I have many.
The one that pops to your mind the first.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the most painful one eventually.
The first is that when we lost the penalty shootout against Flensburg in the semi-final.
That was 2013?
That was 2014.
14, yeah, right. So season 2013-14.
Yeah.
Martin, have you ever been to Cologne, even apart from the Champions League?
I've been with you guys for the European Championship.
Yeah, true that. What was that the only time actually?
Yeah, in the arena, yeah, it is, because in the summertime I have also other things to do, so I haven't been able to go to Cologne before that live, only been able to watch it on the television, which is a shame. But yeah, we're looking forward to do it with a Final Four event, but only been there with you guys, and I'm continuing that streak that I'm on to go there with you.
Yeah, and I mean, it is the most exciting time of the year. So the Truckscout24 EHF Final Four is just around the corner. And I mean, we did have it a couple of times already, but let's just start with a general impression of the teams that are participating. It gets harder every year to pick who is winning and who is the favorites, especially this year with two teams from Germany, with Nantes, with Barca, but Barca not in their best mood. We are gonna get to that in a bit. Yeah, is there a favorite? What's your general impression?
For me, right now, I keep my what I said just a couple of weeks ago, and yesterday this Bundesliga game was played, Berlin against Melsungen, and I'm seeing Berlin so strong. The way they are arriving, physically speaking, and the freshness they have in their minds because everything is going right. I see them very, very strong.
And I mean, in general, let's look a little bit back at the season before we come to the participants. But yeah, you want to?
No, I just want to. I'm excited to hear who you're picking for the winners because the ones you said they are not going to the events before the season.
It's great because then I can switch my mind.
No,
again.
yeah,
So
that's true.
it's good.
Who
it's
did
good.
he say?
He said the same as you.
Aalborg.
Ah, yeah, that's true.
Ahead of the season, I was at Aalborg, and yeah, I don't remember whether
You
I
had
said
Sporting. That was a good call. I will give you that
It
actually.
was so close.
Yeah,
It
it was
so
a good
close.
call. I'm gonna give you that.
Yeah, but
Because he said the same.
No, I didn't say Sporting. I said Veszprém also. That, then I had Aalborg, Barcelona, and Magdeburg. I think. To be fair.
yeah, that might be. That might
Yeah,
be. And
something around
You
that.
didn't have Sporting in the Final Four?
No, he had it. He had it. No.
Yeah, but well, it shows us that it has been an amazing season, right?
Yeah.
So it was a season full of ups and downs. I feel like it was a very special one because it was not that linear. So normally you do have those 1, 2, 3 teams that go through the group phase with ease. But this year, our classical favorites, looking in the direction of Barca, looking in the direction of Magdeburg, looking in the direction of PSG, Kielce, and all that kind of stuff, they have been struggling a lot. So was it an atypical season for you, Martin?
In terms of the clubs you just mentioned, I think the season has not been typical with Magdeburg. We spoke about it earlier with Kolstad was in there, Zagreb was in there, and Kielce also in the race of them. You know, one had to be the go out, and that was sadly for Kolstad. It was them not making it, and also Zagreb. But I mean, Magdeburg, they started the season off because of injuries, I would like to say, but now they're back on track, not only in the Bundesliga, but now they won against Veszprém, and they are even, you know, the last goal from Gisli in Veszprém made sure that they are now here once again at the Final Four, and I find that pretty impressive because they looked shaky earlier. And from Kielce, I think it's a different story. You know, losing Wolf was a big loss for them in terms of goalkeeper, and I don't know how many times we said it's a position that can decide the games, and I mean it's just getting probably more equaled out because of Aalborg is getting there. They didn't make it this season, but then Sporting has showed up very well this season, and then Nantes is back on track, PSG, and then we have Barca and all those teams. I think it's only nice when you don't before the season have one clear favorite. For me, Barcelona will always be one of the favorites, if not the favorites, just like you are on the women's side. But Veszprém is also trying to be there. It's just something around Veszprém that they're not capable of doing it. But the season has been interesting. Let's put it like that so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting is almost an understatement. What were your highlights? So, what was your highlight of the season? Can you even pick one? Is there one to pick?
I think that the highlight is Berlin destroying Aalborg in the quarterfinals.
That was the same I thought
It was surprising for me because Aalborg, they started really well the first game in Germany, but then the game switched from day to night, and then Berlin ended up having a big difference of goals, and then going to Aalborg and also winning the game with a quite big difference of goals because the equality between both teams is quite it's quite similar. I think for me this is the highlight, and in terms of surprise, you know, for me.
That was actually the fun thing that came to my mind. It's easy when I'm from Denmark, but they were leading 13-7 in Germany, and then Landin didn't have the save she had in the beginning, and then the game switched around, and then when the game was over, Berlin had scored, was it 38 goals or something like that, and won it with 7 or 8 goals in Germany, and then it was like, how's that possible?
Yeah,
even
37-29 was the score
with
back
8
then.
goals difference, being behind with 6, that means that the last 40 minutes they won with 14. That's insane.
Yeah.
And another highlight, I would say, it's the performance of Sporting in the competition. I think they are an exciting team. We have been talking about them many times. I think it's a team that it's young and with Ricardo Costa as a coach. I think the feeling that I think is that they know where they want to be or where they are going. And I think it was, for me, another highlight of this season.
And it's great to see Portuguese club handball following the development that the national teams also had in the previous years. I also think, not that it's a highlight, but Víctor also made very well comeback after Christmas.
Yeah.
You know, because they were far behind in the group, and then they showed up and won some matches where we thought that, okay, they're gonna struggle there, and then they showed up and won them. So
they did even win the first playoff round against Nantes. So it was a 28 to 25.
Yeah, in Poland.
And now Nantes is in Cologne and Plock isn't. So it was actually quite close. The second leg was a 29-24 for Nantes.
But they were leading big with that halftime, I think, around.
It was never really close, but still, it's in the end 2 goals. And if something fails, but I like the sporting take that you opened, because we've seen 2 teams in that direction. Szeged was the other one, and Szeged was even able to snatch a victory at Palau Blaugrana, and that is not regular that happens. Do you think that Szeged can take the step to Cologne in the near future?
Yeah, that's a tough question. My first thought was that they, the way that they performed this season, I think that's, you cannot say that's the limit, but for me it's more looking at other teams saying, okay, if Szeged needs to be there, then we have Barcelona, then we have Magdeburg, Fischer Berlin there, Veszprém there, Aalborg there, and then some of these teams needs to not be there in order for Pick Szeged to be there. And they also, last year, I think they lost against Veszprém or something like that in the knockout stage, where it was also close. So it seems like they're missing the little extra thing or the quality. Obviously, they can get there. I mean, if they get a draw where it's a good fit for them, but looking at the teams that I just said, without saying even Nantes, Montpellier and Sporting, then... And Víctor, we also had a talk in one of the earlier episodes that they probably also going to be stronger in the future. Yep. So
I think it would be good for Handball that Szeged can do it, because it's a club that has never been there, but it has been working and putting a lot of resources in trying to be there. And I think it would be good for Handball that we can see sometimes new teams stepping in with some consistency in these stages of the competition, because then, the competition gets funnier, I think.
I like the shine also of Mikla. I think he's 41 years old, and then he just steps into the knockout stage, and then against PSG or something like that, he was playing very, very well in France, and then just performing. It's nice when these older players, they're showing up their younger ones that we used to know, and he did that in those games. But it's
and I mean, just like you said, it has been close in the past already. It was close to Szeged making it. Porto was super close this year. Just in the development of such, let's state it, young clubs. I know that they're not young clubs, but the recent success that they had. What are some puzzle pieces that they miss in their development that they need to adjust in the future to actually take that step? So is there some screws that you can adjust to actually take the step to become one of the big ones?
We are still talking about Szeged, right?
Szeged, Sporting, all these teams in that size direction.
But I think that all these teams, for example, I think that Szeged and Nantes has similar last decade history, because they have won some caps, and Nantes didn't win the French league. Szeged could do it, but they have a similar story. But Nantes has been in the Final Four, I don't know if it's 4 times already or 3. I'm
three
not
or
sure.
4. Yeah, I think it's right.
And Szeged couldn't do it. And I think it's a matter of details. I think that Szeged could be this season in the Final Four, because we have seen Szeged fighting against Barca, even though they lost the first game in Hungary, but going to Barcelona and believing they could do it. So I don't think it's something specific that they have to change, but to keep on working in this mentality that they can do it. They really need to believe that they can do it. And I think they are in this stage right now.
Yeah, well, let's see whether they can keep that level up consistently for like 2 or 3 years, because eventually that step is going to happen. Then maybe you don't get drawn against Barca in the quarterfinals. Yeah.
No, like for example, Nantes. I think the way that Nantes has been working for a long time now is just amazing. It's super professional club, super serious club, with full arena all the time. You know, and for me, it's really good that teams like Nantes arrive to the Final Four.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, one thing is obviously economy for the clubs in order for them to be able to bring in the best players, and obviously also sometimes bring in the player where you see the potential that probably hasn't fulfilled yet, and maybe that potential can be fulfilled in Szeged or Nantes or whatever it could be, because otherwise I think that the biggest players, they have a tendency to go to the other clubs, and now it's going to be a deep talk, because it's also have something to do with that their respective leagues also have to be so attractive that the players from their own countries will stay there and play in the, let's say a Hungarian player is very, very good. Does he then stay and play for Szeged and Veszprém, or does he, for example, Imre, go to Kiel and play right wing in Kiel? Or where do he go? And in order for them to then have such a competitive league, then the general level will also be higher in Hungary. Obviously, the French league and the Hungarian league are good. I also think that the French league is a little bit stronger because of the quality on the teams below. But you also see some of the key players from the French national team playing for Nantes. You have Briet, Min, Julien Boss also. He's also there. Am I wrong? No.
Tomàs.
Yeah, Tomàs also there. You know, they have some players that you also see in national team, and that brings up the level. And yeah, that's a deep talk, but obviously also economy has something to do. But I like the signing for Szeged with Abel Vigreux. His history with injuries is like huge, but his potential has always been there, but he never, because of maybe injuries and bad mix, fulfilled it. So could that be fulfilled in Szeged, or just an example of players? And also we've seen it with, I think, Hallgrímsson also. It's a great goalkeeper. He was also in Nantes and now in Ploch and stuff like that. So you need to find those players. Maybe they need to speak with Emmanuel Mayonat from Metz to know who to pick. But I think that has also something to do with it.
Yeah, interesting. Very interesting perspectives. But I would suggest let's move it over to the teams that actually did qualify for Cologne, because we could talk for hours about the teams that didn't make it. Didn't even talk about Veszprém. Didn't even talk about PSG, who rank among the biggest disappointments that I have this season. So especially Paris not making it out of the playoff round. But yeah, that is some topic for some other time. Let's look at Cologne, and maybe let's even start with the German teams, because someone here predicted that none of them would make it to Cologne, and boy was I wrong. But well, I mean, who could have imagined that the season would develop like that? And especially with Berlin, I was super surprised. How about you, with those dominant performances that they had throughout the entire season?
I was surprised because of the superiority they showed. I'm not surprised that Berlin is competing at this level, but I'm surprised on how consistent are they being in their superiority against teams that are allegedly equal than them, you know? So it's exciting, in my opinion, to see a team performing at this level. It's one of the best handball that I have ever seen, in my opinion. And I'm looking forward to see them in Cologne, because Cologne is different than everything, and we know that normally the big favorite, and I think that most of the people think, looking at Berlin playing, that right now they are the favorites. We know what happens with the favorites in Cologne.
And I mean, it is insane that we're talking about Berlin being the favorites after they have been gone for 12
but
years.
Would you disagree on they are the favorite now?
Yeah. Absolutely not.
I have Barcelona. I still have Barcelona.
You still have Barca as the favorite? Yeah, we're getting over to
but
Barca.
But I get the point in terms of, but it's been, I think if I recall it correctly, in the group stage, for me it was like with Fischer Berlin. Once they met, as Víctor said, some teams that are maybe level-wise equally, they had some losses, and it's like, okay, they can perform very high, and we saw that. And then some other matches they lost, but what they've shown not only in the Bundesliga but also Champions League, the last is just like. And let's not forget that these are also players that had a long season, and the depth within the squad is not that super big in Fischer Berlin, and they keep playing and they keep performing. And it's not only, we will speak about Gitzel, but it's not only him, Lasse Andersen also. And then I also think Freihöfer on the left wing, his season, let's remember it should have been Jerry Tolbring who should play there, but because of an injury, then another one just shows up, and he recently also played the national team. His season, I think, that's been unbelievable for Freihöfer.
Amazing.
And Heiko Westhoff Teichum, also from the Faroe Island, on the other one. He's a young guy coming from the Danish league. Hans Lindberg was there the first season, and now he's starting also to show. And I like Mazenic on the line, his attitude. And I know he gets a couple of 2-minute suspensions, but you need some of those bodyguards in the team as well.
I'm going to bring the talk back to Berlin in a bit, but was just looking at, that Berlin is one of 3 teams that were in the playoffs that are now in Cologne. And I don't remember ever having seen that. So 3 out of 4 teams actually went through the playoffs, and now they did make it to Cologne. Usually you see the top 2 of the groups, they're easily making
the ones
it.
that directly to the quarterfinals.
They usually end up making it to Cologne too. But this year we see 3 out of 4 teams going through the playoffs, and I was wondering a little bit about it. What does that tell us? Is the level getting closer? Because that's what you just said too. With Berlin, one time they're able to smash their opponents on equal levels too, but then in the next game, it's just level terms. Berlin wins at once. Is it a sign of everybody can beat everyone?
That is one thing, yes, but also it's a matter of matchup. I think in case of with Berlin and Aalborg, I think Gitzel, if he was motivated, I think he gave it a lot, 5-10% extra if he has 5 or 10% extra against Aalborg, for example. And then Sporting Nantes, that's also a close matchup looking at it, and 2 teams that could have both went through. So I think it's also equaling it out, but also in terms of matchup. For me, Barcelona, it was, exciting and stuff like that. But I just have a feeling about Barcelona. They've been there before, they experienced. And even though it sometimes is close, I still sit and have a feeling that Barca has it under control. Even though that maybe Barca is only 2 goals up aggregate. And I'm still like thinking, Sekic can make it, but no, I forgot it's Barcelona. They got it under control. That's the feeling that I get from them, which coming from the history and the years back. But it is getting more equal. I think so, yes.
I wouldn't say it's getting more equal. I think it's been equal for a long time now.
Okay.
Because we have seen a lot of teams in the Final Four that now they are not there, but then other teams are coming. We have seen Rhein-Neckar Leuven being in the Final Four, Vardar being in the Final Four, Montpellier being in the Final Four. And there is always, every season, a group of 8-9 clubs that maybe taking out Barcelona, which they are always there, always.
So far.
You wouldn't be surprised if any of those teams are in the Final Four. So I think that for a long time this competition has been very, very equal, and it's getting harder and harder for me to get surprised if one team is out of the Final Four, because I know how good is the other team that has beaten them,
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the teams that didn't make it this season with PSG, Veszprém, Aalborg. And we're forgetting that THW Kiel is also but we spoke a lot about the teams that are not there, but it's interesting actually point of view.
That is a whole different topic. How many teams are not even in the competition
that could have been here and have the quality.
I think we're doing us a favor if we're not opening that can.
I think that this competition is so tough. People don't understand how tough it is to consistently be in Cologne year after year after year. I don't think so people can understand how difficult.
That's
that
also
is.
what we love about it and makes it funny to watch, that we cannot predict it uphand and sitting here and saying, yeah, no German teams, or yeah, we think Aalborg, or I think Veszprém, and then they're not here and some will be. That's the funny thing, because it would be boring if we just point out before the season that they will be there, they will be there. So
Because now, for example, two teams that has been in the Final Four in Hamburg,
yeah.
Kiel and Flensburg.
Yeah.
Could we say right now that if they would compete in the Final Four this season, if they would have been competing in the Final Four this season, they wouldn't be in the Final Four in Cologne?
Absolutely
Yeah.
not.
No.
Yeah.
So it's
absolutely
more
not.
teams to add
Yeah,
to this
yeah.
group
Yeah.
that it wouldn't be a surprise
Yeah.
if they are in Cologne.
Yeah, and I mean, you're talking about consistency and consistently making it, and the team that has proven that over the last 3 years is Magdeburg. So Magdeburg has been there, and the chances are not too bad since the last developments that they are actually at least qualifying for the Champions League next season again. So just as you said yesterday, while we are recording on Friday, 30th of May, so on the 29th there was that Bundesliga title derby in between Melsung and Füchse Berlin, and because Berlin won it, Melsung lost points and Magdeburg actually took over again. So right now it looks 3 match days
Yeah.
ahead of the final of the Bundesliga.
And the 3
again,
matches
like
they have left is also pretty. It looks
Doable.
good for Magdeburg. Doable. Yeah.
True that. And I mean, they are always, when they're in the competition, a strict competitor for the EHF Final Four. So are they this year, and I feel like it's especially amazing to see how they did it with all the injuries that there were throughout the season. So I think we tried to list them once, and it would have been easier to name the players that have not been injured throughout the season. Is there anything a club can do about it, about those injuries? Because I feel like it's been a topic the past couple of years. So when we first had our show in 2023, when Magdeburg won it, we were talking about Zombie Magdeburg last year. I mean, of course, it was unlucky with Gisli getting injured that year, but last year it was a topic with the Magdeburg injuries too.
I think that the injuries that are coming from a big trauma, like a big hit, it's nothing you can do about it. You know, but I think that all the problems that the players has muscularly and in the tendons, it's something that you can do. I think that the preparation of the physical condition, which I'm not getting into a difficult path now, but the preparation on the physical condition has a lot to say. And if the players, with the way they play, has problems muscularly, then maybe something has to be changed. Because we have seen a lot of injuries, and a lot of them has been traumatic injuries coming after a big hit. But I think it's something that as a club Magdeburg can look into it, because if they are capable to arrive to the Final Four the way they did it, having Omar Ingi, Christiansson, Bergendal, O'Sullivan, Felix Klar, Lagergren,
Matthias Musche.
Musche.
Let's not try to name them all, because we are going to miss
No,
them.
and also the
Sender. Yeah.
Yes. And still
Yeah.
being here
Yeah.
and let's see if they qualify for the Final Four through the Bundesliga qualification. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Champions League.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
But I think, maybe they obviously the workload this year, as we said many times, been big. But I also think, as you said, and they're probably doing some preparation in terms of pre-preparation of stretching or going to the gym and doing some exercises that can be beneficial in terms of not getting some certain injuries. But the big hits, that's a part of the sport. But the other things, if they're probably already doing it, then this year,
For
unlucky, could they do a little bit more? Maybe they will look into it in terms of not having injuries, but they still succeed, as Víctor said, and they're here. And the thing about Magdeburg for me is the way they play also, because the playing style with so quick players, and they often have a tendency to go a little bit higher up the field and meet them earlier, but then they will run through you or pass you, and then you need another player to go in. And it's just their way of playing and the way that the teams are built. around, all the players, it's so difficult all the time because it's not like you can just say, then we give Lagergren an extra space or we give Felix Klar a little bit of a half meter extra. That's not how it works because then they will go past you. So, yeah, it's an interesting playing style for Magdeburg compared to maybe some of the others.
Yeah, and I mean, the mastermind behind it is Bengt Víctor. He was in the past and he hopefully will be for a long time in Magdeburg. To see where he brought the club from up until becoming Champions League winners, can he be considered at least one of the best coaches in the last decade? Or is that too small?
No, I think that winning the trophies that he has won with Magdeburg in the last 5 to 10 years, it's impressive. It's impressive. I think that we have to consider him one of the best coaches. There is people who don't like that much this one against one style and everything, but it's not arguably that it's working because he knows he wants to play like this, and he signs the players to play like this.
Yeah, that I have respect for.
So then we have to applaud him, and hopefully Magdeburg can continue having this streak because it's a historical team, and I think it's good that the more teams can compete at this level, the better.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, Magdeburg is performing on that level in the Bundesliga too. So they did have, I think it was the last episode when we talked about it, that they still had 3 games to catch up. They did that. They won all of them. They're back on Champions League track. I mean, such a streak that can unleash a huge boost in the final stage of the season, eh?
They're coming with confidence, they are, and it's just amazed me sometimes that when one player goes out, another one steps up, because I remember Matthias Musche before he got his injury, he was like unbelievable. It's like he showed his
fire.
On fire, and then, okay, now we have Lucas Martens out there, also a national team player, and also with Felix Klar. I really like watching Felix Klar because of, it's hard to get his arm into your body because often you touches his body, but his arm is free and he have a very good way of still getting a shot and then a free throw afterwards, some kind of that. And I think he does this also, that's a different talk, within the rules, if you can put it like that. He's not always challenging steps or double dribbling or everything like that. I think he's a very smooth player and can go both ways. So for me, he's a key player, but yeah. They are fighting for the Champions League title and then the race for the Bundesliga. So what happened 5 months ago? It will be 5 months ago. Now they're here and they know that they have 3 matches left in Bundesliga and 2 in the Champions League. And then if they win those, it's been a success.
Then it was one hell of a season.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure. But especially those matches, like right before Cologne, how's the atmosphere in the locker room, right? Just right before Cologne.
But the thing is that you don't have that much time as a Bundesliga player to think about Cologne.
Yeah. But I mean, it's still that stage of the season.
Until it's there, you know? Yeah. Because for them it's so important, these 3 games in the Bundesliga for the next season, that they are just focused on this. So I think that I think that the atmosphere in the team is not changing that much, just because Final Four is in the corner. You know?
Yeah, I agree. It's Fair just enough. That you saw it with Flensburg also yesterday, that you cannot just go to Bietigheim and then expect to win. It's not an easy game, even for Magdeburg, whenever they go away games. I think they were behind with 8 at halftime and they drew. Yeah. So it's like, it's not like you can just go to Göpping or Wisla and just say, we play with some of the players that are normally not playing and then we will win easily. That's not how it works.
But I mean, it's probably just for the teams that are still competing for every title, that you're just getting hyped up again, and that each and every game you're completely on fire. And for that, I have read a good quote on Instagram. It was on Barca Handball or Barca Handball Insta. Long season. It means that we've still got all the options. Barca, they are on fire too. What's the mindset of Barca players like? Is it different than other players, other teams? At this phase of the season?
I wouldn't say that as an individual the mindset is different, but as a club, the aura that Barca has, entering a room with the Barca kit and being part of such a great club in handball history, it gives you a plus. You know, it gives you something more, and I think that as a club, even though in my opinion they are not playing their best handball, everybody expects them to win. You know, and they can, because actually if we take a closer look at the team who has won last season, last time, it's the same team this season.
I only think people are questioning a little bit because Barcelona in the Spanish league had some results that you normally don't see. You were there witnessing it live against Granollers, I think it was, and you said it yourself that they played very, very well. So it's one thing is what Barcelona do, but sometimes it's also a matter of what the other teams brings to the table. Obviously, normally Barcelona will win that game, but in this specific case, Granollers was also performing very well from what you told us, Víctor. But my feeling is also with Barca. I had a friend of mine asking, "Do you think that Barcelona will win again?" And I was like, "I think Emil Nielsen will bring his curtains with him and stand in the goal, and then they will do what they always do." And I just. Dikamem is obviously also the star player and one of the best in the world, and what he does, even I said it earlier, when the arm is up with a free throw, that's unbelievable. But for me, I always love watching Timothy Ngozang. I think he's an underrated player. I don't get it, and how many years he's played in Barcelona and performing every time, and he's a beast. He's also like, you can go 1v1 and still feel you have him, but then he's so strong.
But I mean, good on you. You named 3 Barca players, and you managed to hit 3 that are actually staying at the club. Because well, I've seen the pictures. There was a huge farewell tour. So in order
10 players.
10 players. I'm just gonna name some of them: Aitor Arinho, Melvin Richardson, Thiagos Petros, Gonzalo Perez de Vargas, Paul Valera, Hampus Wanne. Is this the biggest change that Barca has lived through in the past years?
Yes. In terms of number of players who are going out and then coming in, yes, without a doubt.
I would say number of important players.
Yeah, all of them are important somehow, but I think that Aitor is the player with most titles in history of the club, not handball.
Aitor Arinho,
of the club.
Yeah. Okay.
Gonzalo Perez de Vargas is in top 5 at this moment with 68 trophies.
I know one who has one more.
Yes, only one.
For that, you should hope that he's not winning the
Even though I wish Barcelona to win, of course.
Yeah.
But I mean, the Copa del Rey is still coming, isn't it?
Yes,
And
the
it is
weekend
3
before.
games in 3 days.
Yeah. Then Thiagos Petros for 7 seasons in the team, multiple times champion of the Champions League.
Multiple times best defender in the Champions League.
Melvin Richardson. I would say that these 4 players are probably the most important players that are leaving, and I think that something that we can add to this is that Gonzalo and Aitor are homegrown guys.
Yeah.
And this, I'm looking forward to see how is this going to affect in the locker room and in the identity of the team, but still, with all these players going away, Barca is always Barca. And I'm sure that all the players that are coming are high quality players, and Barca will be always there competing for everything.
But do those departures cast their shadows ahead already? So I mean, is it noticeable in the team that they're like, oh well?
I think this Final Four is very special for the group because they know it's end of something, and next season will be the start of something else. And I think that this Final Four is very special for this group of people.
But hopefully it's also a sense of feeling that they want to give the best farewell possible for Arinho and Perez de Vargas because of the loyalty they had throughout the years and that they are local guys from the team. But also Hampus Wanne is also leaving as a left wing, so whatever is coming in, switching to a new team in the Danish league, Høj, they're called, which is also interesting change. But in general, Barcelona is Barcelona, and Barcelona will survive, and there will be players that will change with the ones leaving, that will, equal out the quality that they have now. I cannot see that not happening. Barcelona is the biggest club. It's just like with Györ. They had 7 or 8 players coming in. Now Barcelona maybe they thought it was a time to change some of the players and some of the ones that have the culture in the blood for someone else to take over.
Yeah, fair enough.
But it is a big change, obviously.
Yeah, and on the other hand, would it be delusional to ask the question if the ups and downs could be traced back to the departures?
We will see.
No, I mean the ups and downs this season. So
this season.
There was
Okay.
a little bit of
Okay.
inconsistency in the club, and that ended up on the playing court.
Yeah, talking with the guys, they said it's been a difficult season.
Okay.
It's been a difficult season, emotionally speaking.
Yeah.
If this can be a reason for the ups and downs, yes, it can be something to add to this. But yeah, I think that emotionally it's been difficult for some of them.
Also because of the injury and the unlucky case with Pérez de Vargas is also, he deserves a different farewell, and that's a long talk, and Víctor knows much more about it than I do. But a legend like him obviously deserved a different outcome that he's getting there. But here we're also speaking about some ups and downs. In 2 weeks they can have won the triple, and then it's like ups and downs.
Yeah,
we won the
sure.
triple, and
that
then
will be
it's
forgotten.
like, because they already won the league, and they most likely would also, they are the favorites to win also the Copa del Rey, and then they are also in a good position coming up. Obviously it's a tough opponent with Magdeburg.
Yeah.
They will be super interesting, but Barcelona has as good as chances, if not a little bit more than against Magdeburg, but they know each other. They played against each other many times. It's it could be a final. This potentially, if you look at the two teams, it's from the outside, it could quality to be in a final, both teams.
I think that Barcelona is going to arrive very good in this Final Four, because having this Copa del Rey in the weekend before, and losing some games this season in the league is making the other teams in the Spanish league thinking we can beat these guys. And Barca knows this, and they know they have to be
at their highest.
And I think it will be very, very good preparation for them, because they will have to compete good to win this Copa del Rey.
Yeah, I want to have one last question about the upcoming transfers, and that is about Aitor Arinho, that is actually going to Füchse Berlin, a guy that came out of, well, I just know it from the football context. Is it La Masia as well, talking about handball?
Yeah.
So coming out of La Masia, until this day, he only wore the Barca jersey and the Brazil jersey. And then at his age,
Spanish.
Sorry, my bad. And then until at his age, he says, I want to try something differently. I want to go to the Bundesliga. I want to see something else. What does that do to you personally, Víctor Tomàs?
Well, you know that I'm working with him, and I was able to help him in this transfer to Berlin. His wish, once he knew he was not going to continue in Barcelona, was to try to go to the Bundesliga, to, as a top player that he is, to one big team. And actually his first choice was Berlin. And everything aligned itself that it was happening. He is super excited to go there, to close this wonderful stage of his life in Barcelona, and to take his family to an amazing city, amazing country which is loving handball, an amazing club like Berlin. I think it's a good match for both sides, and I can say that he is really excited and happy of this transfer.
And also going to a different culture, experience that one, and still being able to, perform at a high level and have the, where he can contribute. It's not like he's just going there just to try something new. Like he can contribute it to the team, and also with quality and experience, like a guy who tried everything basically.
And giving you a little bit of an insight, his wife has been studying all her life in the German school in Barcelona.
Okay.
So actually, his wife is talking to their kids in German.
Ah, that's
So
okay.
for them, adaptation to Germany will be, I think, a bit easier, because one of the things that normally happen is that the athlete, when you go to practice, you have your life, but then your family is in a new country, new language, and
They
as
are
an athlete,
struggling,
you have this in the back of your mind. You know, you're getting worried for them. But I think that Aitor, also Berlin is what is expecting from him. He will be able to deliver right away.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, saying that the adaptation will be easier, you're still going to Berlin. That is not the regular part of Germany, so it is a special city, that is for sure. But yeah, coming back to the sporty perspective, Freihöfer and Arinho, that is a winger duo, right?
That's it's one where it's for the future maybe, and then one that has tried everything there is. So it's a good mix also for Freihöfer to be able to learn from Arinho, and then the other way around also, you know. But I mean, with playing all those games, it's not a. People always have a tendency to say, "Oh, competition, who's gonna play?" Sometimes you need two good players on the same position to order to perform. So I don't see it as being a problem that Aitor was playing, you know, Champions League the 1 week, and then Freihöfer is in the Bundesliga, and then they change it or mix it up, and yeah. So yeah, but it's not bad. Let's put it like that, to have those kind of players, and also different types of wings actually. And that's also important things in terms of who are you facing, and what kind of goalkeeper or type of play, who are the opponents. Yeah.
Yeah, especially because I feel like he brings in qualities that maybe haven't even been there in Berlin like that, because he has won everything. He has won the Champions League, he has won league titles, and in Berlin, that is the feeling that I'm getting right now. They are not having that experience yet. I'm not saying that they're not capable of doing it, but they don't have the experience. And recently I read in an interview that Sergio Heine, that's another one, that Matthias Gitzel actually said, I felt something that I haven't felt before. I was nervous. Going into the game. So what does it do to a player if you're thrown into such a new situation that you haven't experienced before?
I think it's always good to live new experiences and have to learning something new. But I think that Aitor will bring this winner mentality to a team that most likely is going to win the Bundesliga. And he will add some value in this matter. So,
but defensively, he's also capable of going up in 5-1, or being that stressful factor. And let's be honest, we can speak about 5-1 where it's a Scandinavian win, but the Spanish style, the way they do it, and the culture, the way they raise handball players, it's a different one. And maybe that's a good way for Berlin to mix it up a little bit, so not have the big guy Max Dye and Marcenic standing behind, but now you can put Arinho in front, and he can mess it up for the opponent. He has some qualities also defensively, and those are very important, because wingers that can contribute in both ends, not only being a good winger in defense, but he can do something besides that. That's also interesting if they are looking into that part of the game, because mostly you see it as now 6-0 from Berlin.
Pretty German.
Yeah, it is. But it's nice to be able to do that in terms of who you're playing against, and he has that in his game.
Yeah, absolutely. Sounds like an analysis team for the upcoming year then, when we see how they are going to use that. But just coming back to that situation Berlin is right now, would you say that this could be the most intense phase in the history of Füchse Berlin?
Well, it's most decisive.
Yeah, I mean, if they end up getting their first league title in the history, and they come in as the favorites to Cologne.
That's the thing. They're playing against Rhein-Neckar-Löwen away in the last game. They have Gummersbach at home, and then I don't remember the other ones. But it's not easy to go to Rhein-Neckar-Löwen and win it. And Gummersbach at home, obviously, they're favorites and playing in Berlin. But yeah, there's tough weeks coming up, and for me, it's more interesting to see if that pressure is something that they are coping with, or are they just going with the flow. Don't overthink that it's a pressure. Just do it. It's kind of what Jonah Hausner said earlier today at the meeting. It's just handball. It's what we do every day. That was a nice way of putting it. So just play the 3 games as it was 3 normal games, or even though that you know in the back of your head. And then be kind of not grateful, but excited about that you actually put yourself in a position where you can decide your own destiny, and it's not about if another team loses and you win your games, then you're the champions. Win your own games, then you're the champions. That's a nice place to be in, I think, if we ask Füße Berlin if they wanted to. And also, it's the
sounds pretty easy the way that you say it. Just
no,
win your games.
no,
and you
but I
become
mean
the
the Bundesliga is
sounds like
crazy.
A pretty Barca thing to say.
The Bundesliga is just crazy with Hannover and Melsungen earlier this season being on top.
Yeah.
And now it's Füße Berlin and Magdeburg, and we're not even speaking about Flensburg and Kiel.
Yeah.
And there's only 2 that can qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah, true that. And I mean, one of the X factors, of course, we gotta talk a little bit about him, is Matthias Gitzel, why they are in that position they're at right now. So just as we said yesterday, they faced Melsungen and he scored 15 goals. Yeah. So when that is the nervous Matthias Gitzel, I don't want to see the calm Matthias Gitzel in such situations. But luckily we have to wait 1 or 2 years up until then. That's where I was going to go with Silvio Heinevetter, because he recently said he could be the talent of this century. Do you agree? It's the same century that you play in.
I am speechless of what I'm seeing from Matthias Gitzel. I think that for me, it's not so special to see such a great player like him score 15 goals in 1 game. For me, what it's amazing me the most, it's how consistent is he doing it. And in the past years, he was not playing that role as well in defense, but lately he's been also staying in defense, sometimes in number 1, sometimes in number 2, but still I'm gonna stay with Nikola Karabatic, because I still think that Matthias has some more time to win more and more and more. I have no doubt he's gonna do it, but no doubt he's in the top 3.
I mean, also because he's so important for the counter-attacks for them, he needs to be in the defense because he's eager to run all the time and score goals or put pressure on the other team is there. So he needs to be in there in some certain role, and that's also what you see with the Danish national team, that Kirkeløkke is most often, covering for him in defense, and then he gets his time off in defense, if you can put it like that. But for me, it's most impressive that 15 goals is not without penalties. Imagine if he also had shooting penalties and then adding to that. And there's a joke.
Just as a clarification, he didn't shoot penalties.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And that's also a joke within the national team. Nikolaj Jakobsen, the current head coach of Denmark, has the record of most goals in the national team. So wherever Matthias Gitzel is getting close, he's taking him out because you don't want him to break that record. But to answer the question, I think, to be fair, he has the potential, and what he's doing is outstanding and unbelievable in terms of all-star teams and winning and with the national team, but he still hasn't a Champions League title yet. And for me, that's also a thing in terms of with Karabatic, because he is the GOAT and all the titles he's been winning. But what Matthias Gitzel is just doing is sometimes we need to be careful with always comparing. Just let's say that Karabatic is out of this world, the GOAT, and then we have Gitzel. He's also unbelievable. Instead of saying, what happened, that's the thing.
And I mean, it's an unfair comparison at this stage, because we have seen Nikola Karabatic over the past 20 years, and Matthias Gitzel has been there for 5.
And Karabatic is doing it in Kiel and Barcelona and in Paris, and
But it's just cool to talk about it now.
It is. But he is unbelievable.
In this best player of the century, we didn't mention Mikkel Hansen.
Exactly,
which is also
there,
Yes. And I mean, we are talking about Gitzel in these days without having won the Champions League.
We have
Omeyer and Landin also.
Thierry Omeyer,
Landin. Yeah.
Yeah, putting goalkeepers into that discussion is a different topic than.
But they are
yeah,
They won everything.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
They won
absolutely.
everything there is. So for me, that's also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, fair
But,
enough.
but yeah, is Gisel unbelievable? And whenever we think about
100%.
now he scored 15 goals, and we say no, he cannot. Then he scores 16 next time. That's the most crazy thing. And when he has a bad day, he scores 6 or 7. And he's also doing it. For me, it's also the percentage. I think it's 19 shots, 15 goals and 9. That's pretty good because he's all actions, assist, going there all the time.
How many goals by Matthias Gitzel, the Truckscout24 EHF Final4 weekend?
In 2 games,
48?
20 plus, 20 plus.
Nah, I would say 15.
15?
Yeah.
I'm going to go higher than that. I'm going to give him at least 18. Martin?
Yeah, 20 plus. I'm gonna go full out. I don't know why, but
Yeah, fair
but
enough.
for me, it's frustrating. Yeah, sorry,
I,
Víctor.
I still don't understand why, or I haven't seen it yet. Nobody is starting the game 5-1 and
Follow him.
one guy following him everywhere.
I said it the same.
Everywhere.
People from what I heard, people are too worried about then giving too much space to Lichtlein or Anderson. But I would still say that the output that they can
Take the risk.
Yeah, exactly. Because Gitzel are still, if you don't, then he's been showing that the consistency, as you said, he will do it. So can maybe 5% less Lichtlein do what Gitzel was capable of doing? Maybe, I would say so. I thought about that also. But the most frustrating part is preparing and saying he's going to do that, and then play against him and he scores 12 goals.
Yeah, and I mean...
It was Aalborg also.
Yeah.
11 goals and 7 assists or something like that. And 9, there was 20 goals involvement.
And I mean, he's not the only guy in Berlin. So there is other ones. I'm going to give you the question, which side is stronger? But to have it at some point equal, we'll put in the center back on the left side. So we're having Freihöfer, Anderson and Lichtlein on the left side and Gitzel and Westhoff Teigum on the right side. Which side are you choosing, Víctor?
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm choosing the right side, but it doesn't make sense 3 versus 2 to not go that direction. But I would just, the way that I would argue for it is that if you change Gitzel with somebody else, can that all player do it? Or can we change Lichtlein maybe, with all respect, and put another one in, and can they still do what they're doing? I think so. I think Lichtlein is one for the future, and he's unbelievable. And you cannot have 3 Gitzels on the same, that you have to in mind. You have to have someone like Lichtlein that can give the ball to the other players. Yep. But it's a crazy one.
It's definitely insane.
Flip a coin then.
Yeah, and I mean, still we have one more team to talk about, so let's move it over. Even though I can sit here for hours and watch Gitzel play and talk about that, but that is some other stuff. But we
I also like the guy in goal.
Yeah.
Do you see whenever he goes out? I like it.
True that. But let's move it over here to Nantes because I always feel like they're an interesting puzzle piece in these Final Four tournaments. They were runners-up in 2018. Next time they qualified in 2021. Now it's 2025 and they are back. You have just said that they're a great team, and it's always good to see how they are working. What is lacking for them to be there consistently?
As I said before when we spoke about Szeged, I think it's a thing of details. They have such a strong league that sometimes they are not competing in Champions League and they are in Europa League. Last season, we saw quarterfinals of Europa League, Berlin-Nantes. And now both of them are in Final Four of Champions League. So it's just a matter of small details. I think that Nantes as a club is, it should be a role model for other clubs to try to imitate them, because the growth that they have experienced in the last 15 years, it's just amazing. And the way they work, for me, it's one of the top clubs in terms of organization. And for me, it's just a matter of details that, they have a strong French competition, and sometimes they cannot be in Champions League, but the way they work, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be a French phenomenon because PSG isn't a regular member of the EHF Final Four either. So they have their phases, but then they do have their downtimes too. And with Nantes throughout the entire season, you always had the feeling that they were able to compete. But the feeling that I had with Nantes is that whenever they played and the opponent had a high-paced game, they could go with it. But if the opponent slowed it down, Nantes wasn't just able to play their game, but they even got run over by that once or twice. So, Martin, what's your read on Nantes this season?
I'm also impressed by Nantes, and especially also having Min coming back. That was very crucial for them because he's also, I think, one that we're going to see more in the French national team, and I think Prié is also interesting. But in general, you can always argue about the French league, and there's Montpellier, they just won the cup against Paris. But I mean, those three teams, only two can go through to the Champions League, so it's very, very tough. But in general, I'm super impressed. But for me, if I had to also sit down and try to make a bucket list for arenas I also wanted to go to, I would also really like to go to Nantes and see one of their home games, because of it just seems like it's not a party, if you can say that, but with the horns and everything, the drums and the way that they're playing, and I think they're very strong in Nantes, like super, super strong. I actually, maybe it's a little bit underrated. I don't know if that's just my point of view, because the clubs are probably have a lot of respect for Nantes and playing away there, but that one is super strong. It's not like you have a tendency to say, yeah, in Germany a lot of spectators and in Westbrem, but also Nantes at home. It's not an easy place to go. So I just love that they have these kind of players that are maybe not it's wrong to say superstars, because they are superstars, but in terms of, as I said earlier, Prié, Min, Boss, Tomàs, you have Valeria Rivera still playing on the left wing with a lot of experience, tried a lot of, and you need those kind of players, and it's just an interesting team. That's the way I would put it, because they can challenge a lot of teams, and I'm very curious about the French mentality, if they gonna do anything about what you just said. Why don't somebody go up on Gitzel, or why don't you? Because we've seen it with the French national team. Nahi, when he played against Gitzel, he's trying to he's done very well against Gitzel a couple of times, being physical and going up in the field, taking him out, and yeah. So Nantes, they are in the Final Four. Just in that perspective, you can say that it's been a good season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you talked about the home advantage, and that came to count, especially in the playoff round. So they were behind 28-25 when they went to Plotzk and lost there. Were you always sure that Nantes could come back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I laughed when I look at the halftime, because I knew you guys said Nantes, and it's like, oh, now you're right.
Yeah, but this game against Plotzk in France, it was a little bit tricky, because my feeling watching the game was that Plotzk was still fighting all the time and believing they could do it, and at one moment it was this crucial ball that finally went to the Nantes way, but I was feeling that Nantes was ready for it. Barcelona in France this season, it was an equal game, and I've been watching Nantes a lot this season, and I was pretty sure that they could do it at home.
Yeah, fair enough. And I mean, Nantes has shown us throughout the entire season they can win against each and every opponent. I need to have an eye on the clock, because you are about to be deported to Westbrem. But yeah, it will be a very, very interesting Truckscout24 EHF Final 4 2025. I got all the numbers right.
Yeah, you're good at it, actually. Respect for that. Yeah.
Cheers. Yeah. But of course, we got to end our round here.
Barcelona.
With predictions. Okay, Barca, that takes away my first question. Barca versus Magdeburg, semi-final win by Barca. Semi-final win by Barca, I don't need to ask.
Because I said them before the season, it's just like with Gjør, I have to stick with the ones that I said.
Will this be the first?
I gotta say Barca, yes.
Yeah.
I have to.
And this is one of the rare times where the three of us agree. I think Barca will take down Magdeburg this year.
That's interesting in such a close matchup that we actually agreeing for
It's
once.
really close.
Yeah.
And the other semifinal, Berlin against Nantes, who's making it?
Yeah, the way they're playing now, I have to go with Berlin.
We're seeing the same final, guys.
That cannot be
I got
true, then.
Berlin against Barca here too, and who lifts it? Now it's getting interesting.
I have my heart and is telling me that Barca.
Barca?
Yeah, I said it at Barca also.
Then finally we got something where we disagree. Matthias Gitzel time. I think he's going to score a lot of goals in the final. I'm keeping that hot take for the show that we're having.
I like that because otherwise it would be boring because then nobody can tease each other whenever there's a result.
Absolutely. And MVP?
And but who's going to win the bronze then? Nantes, Magdeburg. We're going to take that later.
We're going to
take it. MVP?
MVP, DKM.
Yeah.
Wow, surprise.
I'm going to go then with also a goalkeeper, Emil Nielsen.
Also a goalkeeper.
I said Sander Toft earlier, on the women's side. That's why I...
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to go also with the goalkeeper, Matthias Gitzel. Cool, sweet. Then I'm highly looking forward.
Dika can do everything. You didn't know it?
He did. He does. That's true. That's true. But I'm very much looking forward to seeing you guys on stream on ehftv.com. Check your geo-blocking restrictions before buying your package, before you smash your monitor. But apart from that, it will be an amazing Truckscout24 EHF Final 4 2025. Andrea Lekic will be joining us. We're very much looking forward to that. But until then, enjoy your time off and see you in Cologne when it's time to talk handball again, everybody.
Ball across to Dylan Nahi, double in flight. Oh, what a start.
Ooh, into the net.
She does it again. Yes.
Magdeburg on the shot.